Hello everybody, Bomdagor here. Oh, and I'd like to say good morning. And on today's replay, it's actually a 1v1 with featuring Failjhm and his turn opponent on Daybreak. Bonages? Okay. Well, I got this replay so I could help give Failjhm some tips. So we're gonna watch it from his perspective. So we got Pylon on 9, which is good. Having fun with the camera. Waiting for the Pylon to finish. I used still zoomed in. There you go. No, I'd recommend it, you do scouting after you build your, right once you build your pylon. So you build your pylon, then send that probe to scout, and then build your gateway on 12. So we're gonna be applying this as if I have as much information as JHM. So we're doing it from his view, so we can see exactly what he's doing. By now you should have taken your gas geyser, because by the time the gateway finishes, you need, the cyber core does, you'll have the gas to get one stalker and start your gateway research. So, and also send that probe back to my I would do the little rally trick, or at least the rallying, for the first geyser and not the second one, because then you're just losing mining time. So, and again, I'm also on, oh. Yeah, I'm not seeing hotkeys, so it's an engineering bay block. Ooh. The point of this is to never finish the engineering bay. You're supposed to have it down to so that way you don't lose 125, you'll lose roughly a little less than that. So that's the point of the bay block. So basically you just lost 125 minerals for no real reason. When right now you could cancel it and get most of your money back. So okay, so 3-gate robo. I would like to see the robo before the third gateway, and keep producing out of these so that we can constantly have units. Unless you're going to take an expansion. Okay, you're going to take an expansion. That's good. I would take one of your units and send them at the tower.
Research complete.
Let's go to gateway research, and there you go. And we got one observer coming. Okay, that's good. there's the next round of stalkers. It's automatically that. And if you're gonna rally, you want to rally to the mineral line, not to the front of the nexus. And I don't even think you're fully set. 16, 17. You're about good on saturation. Probably get maybe 2 more probes on this line. And this observer should be way over here. Should have one. Oh, you got one there? Okay, that's the spot. Drops, that's fine. This one to spot other, more drops. As long as that one heads to here. If anything else, you could take this probe. Oh, see, barely seen an arm come out. And here it comes. About 9-minute timing for it to get Marine Marauder Ball and the small one. So you should see that. Yeah, definitely you should see that.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
I remember the scan actually has quite a bit of range. So if you scan here, let's see it here. How did he spot? Oh, must have done it on another scan. That's why I would start to keep a unit here, like a stalker, and then once you see the army start pulling in, start pushing back. I will say you're seeing marauders. I would try to get one immortal and chrono boosted out. This nexus right here has no rally point, and you still have this rally point set over here. There you go. This is bad. You're tying up minerals right off the right there. You have time. This guy is building an army and sending it there. Stalkers are good. I would get sentries right about now too. You have more gas and then minerals, so a couple of sentries. See, you're tying up too much of this. That's not good. Again, doing it for the first time is okay. After that, I would start sending probes to minerals and then just going like this. Quick highlight, hit shift, and then left click C, or right click C, sorry. And then that way you can start sending them to mine gas, because you're basically getting low on minerals. And now you have no idea what's going on in here, because you don't have another observer that's sitting there. You're seeing the Marine Marauder Ball sit here, and there's still, the upgrades are still 0, 0. And you're getting Boeing +1. I would really think Colossus would be a better choice in general, just for the fact that you have a better, and sentries right here stop that entire army. You can cut them in half right here. So while half of the army is sitting up here, the other half sitting down there. You do notice if you do click on them, it will tell you that stem and custom shells are done. And you have a Templar, and it's not going to do you any good because you don't have. Because you do not have. Your upgrade completion was just in the nick of time. Start making weapons. Start making weapons. I know you have. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep warping. Oh no! 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 Don't walk them. You got blink, but you didn't use blink at all. There was no blink control. Right now, your probes can take all this out. You will lose the probes, but you can take them out.
Research complete.
Alright, it was a good hold.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Well, they have their expansion down. You don't know how long they've had their expansion down. That's why you don't move command the army. That's why you never move command your army. I don't know why you're sending that back. It's gonna take a lot of punishment, and all of a sudden you got these guys distracted, so.
Fall back to the shadows.
Alright, you need to start warping in a bunch of units right now. You got 5 gateways, you got nothing in production.
Fall back to the shadows.
And here comes army number 2.
I'm here.
Had you been reinforcing this while you had so much idle time. Right now I think Colossus would be a lot better than Templar. Unless you really just want to tech the Templar, then skip the robotics facility. And you had Storm and didn't use it. Right now, I think Charge would be better than Blink. Just in skill level in general. Because then it automatically cuts away from the contested shells. Warp in sentries if I were you. Cut the army in half. Alright, so we're gonna restart that. We're gonna do this, hit play, or hit pause. Boy, I wish this the other replay feature where on a hard storm where I can take control and see how the situation would have done differently. So we're going to times 8 this a little bit, go to times 4, look at the production. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can put some postings right here. Hopefully I can get it to work. Okay, so number one thing, right after the pylon, because of Terran, you want to be able to have a scouting information. So once you get pylon on 9, pylon, then scout. So that way you can see if Terran's taking gas. Because the longer your probe stays in here, once the ring comes out, it'll tell you whether or not, because it's going to delay whatever tech he's going to try to do. It's going to delay. Because once Terran takes at least one gas geyser, so there's only a couple of options. He's either going to do a Rax play, which you see no gas, or he's going to do a CC after a barracks, because you see no gas being taken. Once the gas is taken, you're going to either then start expecting Marauder and Marine Marauder push. So, and see, like this SCV here, if you put it right here, he'll be able to see when you take your expansion. So you need all this information you need all the time. So okay, so number one, pylon on 9, gateway on 12, 12 supply. Let's do it this way. Give you a better sense. So right here, your gateway was on 15. That delays your cyber core quite a bit. Your gas got delayed quite a bit. So you need to be able to, whoa. So I do like this where you can, I'd say after the first time of doing this, keep it back at the mineral line, because you want to keep making probes regardless. Even if you're kind of oversaturated on here, optimum's probably around 18, between 18 to 20 probes sitting on the line, so that way you can keep feeding, so that way you'll always have probes there. And then once you get around a certain amount of probes, so probably once you get to 16 and you're about 4 over on the bottom here, so about 20 probes up top, you should cut the probe production up here, give it a second, and then once you take your expansion, start building probes back up here. Take about 5 to 6, transfer them down there, because you're gonna take 6 probes are gonna be tied up in gas. And again, stress the use of hotkeys. So like for me, my Nexus is always on 5. You could have it on 4 or whatever. Just personal preference for me. So Nexus is on 5, gateways are on 6, and then tech structures, depending on what it is, Stargate or Robo. Robo for me is always going to be on 7, and Stargate's always going to be on 8 unless I go Stargate first, which then it'll be on 7, and I'll switch them back over. And again, this is the thing that you need to know about, is you need to have scouting. He has not built one Marine. So if you don't see like something coming down within the first 3 or 4 minutes, sometimes there'll always be one scouting Marine to take the tower. Come back up and see if he's fast expanding, or see if he's going to expand. So I mean, he says he's in bronze, and that's fine. And you said yourself you're in bronze as well. Well, this is stuff that, how you get your macro up a little bit. So this guy is actually doing pretty good as far as, even if I'm butchering his name, I'm gonna just call him Bo or Boone. So what Bo has done here is he's noticed that you're not no extra pressure coming up. He sees that you're not taking, well, he can't tell if you're taking this yet. So, but we'll continue on. There you go with the second gas. Okay. Because you're going to probably need it. Now, I would rally here instead. Otherwise, you just have 3 probes sitting here not really mining a thing. So, that could have been a couple of minerals right there. You could just take the transfer over. This right here is a little too much micro. Or at least too much micromanaging than needed to be. So, there's the Inge Bay block. Now you want to cancel that, you hit T, and that halts the production. You don't ever want to finish this. So that's a tip for you, Bo. Never want to finish this, so that way you can cancel it, get your money back, and then that way you can start keeping this out. So I like the fact his money is down. He's rallying units, so he's taking 2 gas geysers. He's got a mule down. and then he's got his other command center. So he's got his other. He's got his natural mining. I would have loved to see the mule come down here instead. So you notice that your opponent blocked you. I would say take this probe here, build a proxy pylon, come back to the tower, because look, there's no army. Like, there's a whole time where this right here could defeat this. He has no army. And you're not seeing anything, no push outs, no nothing. I would say do one more warp in once the gateways completely finish. You're at 400. You're at 400. You should have taken this. This pro should automatically have been building that, and then sent to mine. Even if it is delayed mining, sent to mine. And here's problem one. Your first observer should have went straight here. That's where your first observer should have went. That was problem one. It was nice that it's here. That should be your second or third observer if you're gonna just use that for only observers. So your first one should have went here. Cause right off the bat it'll tell you the army size. Cause look, he's just macroing and he's not building an army. And if you had one pylon right here, a bunch of warp-in cycles, this here, you saw it took out, you know, his first initial push. That there could take out this right here. Because if you have a observer parked right here, so say you take an army, that army right here comes down. You have this pylon here, you have an army here, you can swing them all the way around and then come up this ramp, and then this way you can have a backdoor advantage to him. And again, you have no information on him, not one. You don't know what he's been doing. All you see is Marine Marauder Ball. So you're hoping that he's not doing anything. He is actually doing a stem timing, which, you know, normally happens around, you know, between 9.5 minutes to 10, well, between 9 to 10 minutes of game time. And again, you got probes that kind of just hanging about. So once you build gateways, and this rally point here, I don't understand this rally point. I mean, I guess it was for this one probe, but you know, you need to be able to kind of have, you know. So, I mean, yeah. Okay, I would have fondly not suggested Twilight at all. If you're beginner, stick with 3-gate Robo Colossus tech. And so that way you always have something more consistent and keep working on that. So instead of that, and then if you're gonna do it, don't get blink, because you didn't really use blink play too much, which is basically if you can individually click stalkers, or just kind of group a little bit, swinging back, group a little bit, swinging back, group a little bit, swinging back, group a little bit, swinging back. You have a forge down, and there's +1. I would have probably gotten a couple of cannons down, or at least a cannon. So again, your main goal is to get minerals. Not, I understand that Protoss has a lot of gas heavy units, but this guy has a timing down, so you need to make sure that this timing doesn't happen. He also broke down these rocks, which I didn't realize, so he has a way to swing in faster. And look at all these marauders. Man, that's a lot of marauders, and that's a lot of stalkers that shouldn't have not. Had you've been building zealots, they would have actually survived a lot. You would have had something more of the tank. On top of that, because of charge, it nullifies this. Once charge hits, charge is an automatic hit. So it nullifies this first time charge is activated. And then once the charge is cooldown is, reset. So again, you have this you see this army coming up. You have this Templar, which is honestly not doing you any good. If you're gonna get one Templar, might as well get one more to get one Archon. See how much slower the Zealots are moving because of the concussive shell? See, this is where you get blinked, but you're not blinking anywhere. You're not slow, and then you got these on a move command, which they should have been attacking as soon as they got close. So really, that was really effective for him because he's making you waste. That and you're both even on upgrades too. Well, he's gonna be +2 in a second, so you barely got +1. Had you had Immortals in that army or Colossus, this right here should have just went down quickly. Because right here, you're not doing even trades at all. You've lost so much more. For the same amount of units lost, you've lost twice as much. And I would ignore this. Just ignore it. You won't kill it with 2 stalkers. So, and now you're saying that, and now let's look at this production tab. You got 2 probes building. Start building army. Start building army. You have 5 gateways, 1 robo. Start pumping out Immortals. Start pumping out the Immortals because all you're seeing is Marine Marauder balls. You got a Viking because of Colossus, but that's kind of strange to get a Viking when you see no Colossi and and the only Robotech you've seen is observers. And again, that stalkers are kind of a bad choice. Oh, you do have one guy with Storm, and he died. So had you gotten charged before blink? Because I don't go blink too often. Actually, I rarely go blink at all. I go charge just because of the Marauders against Terran. So I'd rather have that instead. Right there, you're wasting 4 gateways for 2 Archons when you could have had a much bigger army. Yeah, they do bonus damage against bio, but considering how much bio he has, wasn't worth it. So I would say, let's go back a little bit because I know there's a point where you're not making anything. So let's see how long you don't make anything for. So it's gonna be after the 14-minute. So after the initial. Okay, so starting at 14 minutes after you build your 4 stalkers, you're building nothing. There's no. Your money is going up. Up. 1 high Templar. Okay. And now you're building no army. Just nothing. You got 85 energy on that. You got 87 energy on that. Throw it on these. Throw it on the gateways. Build another big army. Keep throwing it on gateways. Throw it on this. Get some more mortals out. You still have marauders. Mortals counter marauders, not stalkers. Stalkers do bonus damage against marauders, but so marauders do more damage. So let's go. A stalker does 15 damage to armored units. Marauder does 22 damage when they're +1 versus armored. And they only do 11 damage to everything else. So, you're looking at, if you had an army with more charge lots and immortals, this army would have went down. So if you're looking at, if you're gonna go Twilight, keep going with the upgrades, because you're not building anything as far as an army, and you've seen the army composition. You need zealots in this army to tank, and you got nothing to tank, and you spent probably like 2.5 minutes not building an army, not building anything. You're waiting until the last minute to build something. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of doing that too. But it's just something to work on. Is you lost your army. You're not seeing anything in the next 2 minutes. You might as well attempt to try to, build another army right up again for defense. Because now you just wasted 4 gateways for 2 archons, and it's not gonna do you much. Yeah, they do a lot of damage, but they don't do that much damage. Not when you only have 2 of them. When you have more than 2, they do great damage. But when you have just 2, they're not so great. So, I mean, you had several minutes of no production. You could have warped in a bunch of units. Should have gotten charge right after blink, because you were sitting really high on the minerals. I mean, Templar Archives is a good thing, but I would ignore, and this is just for me personally. For the advice, I would ignore getting Templar Archives in at least 1v1s early game. Use it for mid to late game, and just work on 3-gate Robo Colossus tech, and then get this to get your +1, or to get your +2 and 3, and then go with charge instead of blink. So you're going to use the Twilight for charge and your upgrades, and keep working on your upgrades. You're going to go Robo Bay, and start pumping out Immortal Colossus again, because 3-gate Robo is pretty much really consistent with all matchups. You can do a lot of damage with it. You can tech differently, because you have warp prisms that you can send about the map, start warping it into his base. You have a defense mechanism, which is your mortals can take out the marauders. You got stalkers and zealots behind. If you got a couple of sentries, like 1 sentry force field would have cut at least a chunk of that army right in half. Right there, you could have cut half that army, because your observer had all this vision of them, and what you did is you let him get up the ramp, and you let him get a concave, which was something you don't want to do. If you position yourself here, that battle probably would have went a lot differently. You would have had a better concave, and he would have been stuck on this ramp. If you had Colossus out, even if it didn't have Thermal Lance, and you had Colossus out, well, automatically that Colossus is going to nullify all this. His push up here, because once he starts losing more units, because he's going to lose a lot more units due to splash damage. So all of a sudden, he's got Colossus, I better back away. And then And then once you get that Colossus there, start making a push forward. Have that proxy pylon placed somewhere around over here, so that way it can warp in units. So for this game alone, I would say he did pretty well. His macro is pretty spot on. He's low on money. Well, he's low on minerals, high on gas. That's just Terran. They're always going to be high on gas because there's not a lot of gas heavy units unless they're teching straight to, mech. So yeah, they're always going to be high on gas, low on minerals. And then Protoss is the opposite. You need a lot of gas. You don't need too much minerals. But some units do cost more. So I would stick with 3-gate Robo. Ignore the Templar archives. Just ignore it. If you're gonna go Templar, go DTs. You're choosing units that have a high micro, and due to your level right now, without a lot of practice, it's too much. It's too much micromanaging right now. You need stuff that just kind of does the micro for you. So basically 1A everything, because this is what he did. He just basically took his army 1A all the way around, let the units do themselves, and then you can box them again and then start individually selecting them, so that way it starts to kill everything off. But he just basically 1A'd you with his units. But he does have the rally points set to where he's losing units as they stream this way, and he's not noticing until then. So see, like this right here, he's got 14 units selected here. He's got both of his orbitals selected here. He's got all his racks selected here. If I look at yours, you have nothing selected here. So basically you're individually clicking individually trying to highlight clicking things, when all of a sudden if you just hit like 5 to 5 EEE, and that's all your probes right there. 7 so 7. I actually have my immortals set on a different hotkey. I actually set them to Q, since nothing on a robotics facility requires a Q button. So for me it'd be 7Q, 7, wait about halfway, 7Q, start pumping down immortals, because that's what I did. I went Colossus tech all the time. I never really teched the air, and I really never teched to Templar unless I had to. But I usually did that for late game. I did not do that for early game. So I would ignore this. So I would ignore the Templar archives. I would ignore the Templar tech in general. And then use the old saying, "When behind Dark Shrine." So ignore the Templar archives. You don't need it. It's fun. It's fun to have it, and it's fun to use when you can pull it off. But when you can't pull off storms, this becomes useless. So on top of that, you went Robo, Twilight, Templar. So you're doing this off. You did this all off of one base. So work on this timing. So you're gonna go. So we're gonna go 3-gate Robo, and I'll post a tutorial up after this one. So I'm gonna post this up first. Go back in, and then do a real quick custom game, and then show you what I mean by what I'm talking about against a very easy AI. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and have a good day. Bye.